Hello and welcome. Today we are taking a full look at the Nerf Zombie Driller. Originally, I think a lot of us speculated that this would be a continuation of Zombie Strike, but it appears to be a part of a new line called Nerf Zombie. At least that's what it looks like on the box. From looking at this blaster, it feels very similar to Zombie Strike, so I'm really not sure why they didn't just call it Zombie Strike, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose. For 2024, we have two new blasters launching in the line. We have this one, which is the Driller, and then we have this one. Both of them are supposed to be 2024 releases, but you can buy both of them right now. The Driller is a Hammer Prime 5-shot cylinder blaster, which includes 16 darts. Let's jump right in. Included, of course, we have the Driller itself, the scope, and 16 green elite darts. Now that we have this thing out of the box, let's go over the blaster. First off, while we don't have any sling mounts on the blaster, we do have two end strike rails. One is on the bottom and the other is on the top. You can put this included scope on. It does not have any sort of clear plastic. It's really just there for appearance. It's not going to be the most effective scope. Up here we have the barrel, and unfortunately it is not removable. When we've had things like the Fortnite 6-shot in the box, the blaster comes with a barrel that is disassembled, so it's kind of an optional thing. This one comes with one out of the box that you cannot remove. Right here we have the cylinder, and it holds 5 rounds, just like the classic hammer shot. Right below the grip we have dart storage. I like how much these are held in, pretty good retention, but it's only a 4 dart storage when the blaster has a 5 dart capacity, which I find kind of weird, but certainly not the end of the world. Right here, of course, we have the trigger, and then right here we have the Hammer Prime, just like a hammer shot. To fire the blaster, assuming you have darts in the cylinder, pull back the hammer, and unlike a hammer shot, you can actually release the hammer and pull the trigger. Maybe I need more time with it, but I find the Hammer Prime pretty smooth and nice, but the way the trigger has to engage with the catch kind of pinches your finger right there. And while this grip is pretty good for an adult hand, it is still a little bit cramped, and that is mostly due to this kind of end cap right here with the darts. It restricts the handle quite a bit, and this is an issue that the hammer shot did not have. But like I said, besides that, the priming action is pretty smooth, and I like the auto retraction. I think this side of the blaster looks absolutely phenomenal, and while we have a lot of great paint detail on this side as well, we have the warning labels, which are much more visible than they usually would be. I find this a little bit annoying, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. Now that we've gotten more familiar with the Nerf Zombie Driller, let's take this thing outside, put it over the chronograph, and see how it performs. Here we are outside with the Driller. Again, I really like this paint job. We will be firing the included green elite darts. Now the box is not claiming any performance, but keep in mind that the hammer shot hits 65 to 70 feet per second. 64, 75, 72, 68, 70, and we'll just fire one more to make it 6. 73. So that performance is about what I would expect for something like this. Not too groundbreaking, but pretty acceptable for a casual Nerf blaster. One thing I would like to note is that unlike something like the Dart Zone Max Outlaw, where you can continuously pull the hammer back and continue rotating the cylinder, this blaster will not rotate the cylinder after it's primed, which is pretty unfortunate because during a game that can be a pretty useful feature if you're rotating quickly to load more darts. So for me personally, I find that a bit annoying, but of course not everyone is going to feel the same way. Now let's fire some shots downrange. So again, this thing is getting pretty standard 70 FPS performance, not too bad, not too crazy. So what are my final thoughts on the Nerf Zombie Driller? Overall, I do really like the aesthetic and that kind of Zombie Strike feeling that this has brought back. Even though it's not technically Zombie Strike, it feels like a natural successor. As far as the Driller goes, this is really meant to be a fun slash gimmicky blaster. We have so many more options that are more practical than this thing, even from this 70 FPS casual Nerf perspective. Things like the Fortnite 6-shot have one more dart of capacity stock and much more comfortable ergonomics. Things like the Wild Edition Trailblazer feature a much higher capacity than this out of the box and a much more compact and more practical silhouette. And of course, this is going to be the most compared blaster. We have the Zombie Strike Hammer Shot, which is more compact than this thing. It is more ergonomic. You can actually spin the blaster because it has a trigger guard. And right now, because the Hammer Shot has been around for so long, you're going to have much more aftermarket upgrade potential. I can only recommend the Driller if you really like the look. And there's nothing wrong with buying a blaster because it looks really cool. If we don't compare it to past blasters, it does work pretty well. I mean, I have a couple of ergonomic gripes, but the hammer action is very smooth. I like the auto retraction. The paint scheme is really awesome, and the performance for casual Nerf is definitely there. Overall, while I think it could have been a little bit better, it's certainly not a bad offering. If you are interested in the Nerf Zombie Driller, I will have the link in my description. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions regarding the Driller, subscribe for more, and happy blasting.